Hi everyone, welcome back to the TechNet blog. If you're joining us for the first time, we kindly advise you to subscribe because we share tips and tricks on how to prepare for your exams and also become better practitioners in the field. Yes, the last time we looked at verify requirements and also taking a couple of steps back, we looked at specify requirements and design, and we are on requirement analysis and design definition. So you were able to verify your requirement to make sure that it's according to standard. Now you want to validate the requirement just to ensure that all requirements and designs align to the business requirement and support the delivery of needed value. Okay, so you check the standard. Now you want to make sure it aligns with business value or whatever they want need. So requirements validation is an ongoing process to ensure that stakeholder solution and transition requirement align to the business and requirement, and that the design satisfy the requirement. So just making sure that whatever you've mapped out, whatever you've modeled in terms of requirement, in terms of design, they align with what business needs. So understanding what the desired future state looks like for stakeholders after their needs have been met is valuable to business analysts when validating requirements. So just making sure that the future state is in tune with business requirement. The overall goal of implementing the requirement is to achieve the stakeholders' desired future state, right? So in many cases, stakeholders have different conflicting needs and expectations that may be exposed through the validation process. So this person tells you, I want this payment to go this way. That person tells you, oh, I need to get a notification immediately this happens and all whatnot. So try to make sure that everything jives. So input requirements specified and modeled. So any type of requirements and design can be validated. So validation activities may begin before requirements are completely verified. However, validation activities cannot be completed before requirements are completely verified. So for you to validate your requirements, you need requirements specified and modeled for your guidelines and tools, business objectives, future state description, potential value, solution scope. So you are validating requirements, and at the end of the day, you are getting requirements validated. So tasks that can use this would be define design options, measure solution performance. Now going into the elements. So the first is to identify assumptions. Though there will be so many assumptions here. So if an organization is launching an unprecedented product or service, it may be necessary to make assumptions about customer or stakeholders response, as there are no similar previous experiences on which to rely. So for instance, you want to use a payment system, and let's say you want to assume that some users may not want to receive notifications, or some users may not have, like, let's say, email address, and they want to get their notification on maybe their phone. That is an assumption. Or you want to assume that, oh, we may want to send push notifications to users. So you try to think around those using the system and how the system can work for them. So in other cases, it may be difficult or impossible to prove that a particular problem derives from an identified root cause. Stakeholders may have assumed that certain benefits would result from the implementation of a requirement. These assumptions are identified and defined so that the associated risks can be managed. So as you are coming up with these assumptions, you're also trying to look at the risk and also how to avert them, or are you accepting them and all whatnot. So define measurable evaluation criteria. So while the expected benefits are defined as part of the future state, the specific measurement criteria and evaluation process may not have been included. So business analysts define the evaluation criteria that will be used to evaluate how successful the change has been after the solution is implemented. Baseline metrics may be established based on current state. Target metrics can be developed to reflect the achievement of the business objectives or some other measurement of success. So evaluate alignment with solution scope. You want to evaluate this in terms of a requirement can be of benefit to stakeholders and still not be a desirable part of the solution. Yeah, a requirement that does not deliver benefit to a stakeholder is a strong candidate for elimination. For example, you said, okay, we don't, at the end of the day, we see that this is fine, this is good to have, but we don't actually need it on the system. So you remove that. So when requirements do not align, either the future state must be reevaluated and the solution scope change, or the requirement removed from the solution scope. If a design cannot be validated to support a requirement, there might be a missing or misunderstood requirement, or the design must change. Guidelines and tools. So business objectives should guide you, ensure that the requirement deliver the desired business benefits. Future state description will guide you, knowing where you are going. Potential value. Okay, what value are we going to end at the end of the day if we do this or if we don't? Okay. Solution scope. What would this solution cover for us? So techniques, acceptance and evaluation criteria. What would we meet at the end of the day to say, okay, yes, we think we've met business need at this point? Okay. Financial analysis used to define the financial benefits associated with requirements. Item tracking, track what you need to do, what needs to be done, hasn't been done. Metrics and key performance indicators, KPIs, reviews used to confirm whether or not the stakeholders agree. Risk analysis and measurement. So who are your stakeholders? Everyone. Your SME, your project manager, your sponsor, and all whatnot. And what at the end of the day would be your output? Requirements validated. So validated requirements and design are those that can be demonstrated to deliver benefit to stakeholders and align with the business goals and objectives of the change. If a requirement or design cannot be validated, if it either does not benefit the organization, does not fall within the solution scope, or both. So let's see what we have next here. So next we are going to go into define requirement architecture. This part is very, very important. So see you soon.